everyone, this is Joe. I'm at Gen Con, and I'm here with Carey, the creator of Pandemic Contagion, and he's here to talk about his game. So take it away.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. So this is my game, Contagion. Essentially, you are the disease, and there is no cure. It's sort of a pandemic turned on its head, totally backwards. It's competitive game, not cooperative like Pandemic. It's a standalone, so it's not an expansion, but it's part of the family. And in this version of the game, instead of scientists trying to cure the disease, you are trying to wipe out humanity. Essentially, the components of the game I'll talk about. We have the city cards. The city cards are basically the same cities that are on the Pandemic board. The number on top actually represents the population in millions, sort of approximate. And the down below, there's an action associated with that city. So when the number of disease cubes, and I'm just going to go ahead and place some in here. When the number of disease cubes equals, or the number of the population, then that city is considered wiped out. And the player who placed the final disease cube is the one who earns the action that's associated with it, and the player who has the most of his diseases earns the population number as a score, and then that is tracked up here on this scoreboard. So how do we get the diseases out here onto the board? The other part of the game are these contagion cards. And these contagion cards are different functions, but first of all, they represent 6 different contagions that are in the game. What you're doing on your turn, you get dealt 4 cards to start with. And then if you look on your board here, it lists all the actions that you can do. So on the first action, you can draw these contagion cards. And the number of contagion cards that you get to draw is equal to the incubation level of your disease's mutation. So in this case, I can draw 1 extra card into my hand on my turn. And then, in order to spread a disease, if I already have a disease in a city, I just need 1 card of that color, and then I can add 1 more to that city. If it's a city I've never infected before, then I need 2 cards of that color. However, if I don't have a card of that color, I can play any 2 cards to equal 1 card of any color I want. So this would be considered 2 blacks, and then I could play a disease there. Now, the other number of disease that I can play is based on my infection rate. So the higher my infection rate, the higher the more diseases I can play. So incubation is the number of cards I can draw on a turn. Infection is the number of disease cubes I can play out in a city on my turn. And the last one is resistance. And resistance is what protects you against mankind's attempts to try and eradicate you from the board. A couple of more things to speak about are the event cards. There are 2 different types. We have the regular event cards. These are political, social, and weather-related events. And each turn we're going to reveal a new card. And when that card's revealed on your turn, you have to play based on the action that's in there. Sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's not so helpful. The other type of card which is mixed into this deck is the WHO cards, which is the World Health Organization. And they're always trying to eradicate disease. So every time that card comes up, you're going to have to do something that's going to force you to take away diseases or eliminate contagion cards or something else like that. Now these are planted in here so that every 4th round So you have 4 rounds in which to prepare for it, essentially. So you can get your diseases spread, you can get some of your mutations built up, which let me speak to that next.
Okay.
But you have 4 rounds in order, or 3 rounds in order to prepare for that eventual turnover of the hoop.
Okay.
So how do you advance your mutation? So with the same cards that you use to spread your infection, you just eliminate the number that is required for that. So if you look over on yours, if I wanted to advance my infection rate from level 1 to level 2, so now that I can draw 2 cards instead of 1, then I would discard 2 contagion cards. Okay. And the same thing is true if I want to go to level 3, and the cost would be 3, so then I would eliminate 3. These are separate actions, by the way, so that would allow me to move up to level 3. Okay. And for infection, it's a little more costly. It's the same for level 1 to level 2, but to go to level 3, it costs 4. And to go to level 4, it costs 4 as well. Right. Your resistance, each card you have, the higher you have this is the number of cards or diseases you can protect from effects of the flu or something of the events. Lastly, let's talk about the actions that you have on your turn. So you have 3 actions, and you can take any 2 actions, or you can repeat any 1 action if you like. The first action is to discard, is to infect a city, and that is what I talked about already, placing diseases in cities. The second is to mutate your disease. And that is, as I said, you discard cards from your hand and you can advance your mutation. The stronger your disease, the stronger your gameplay is on your turn. And last but not least, you can draw cards into your hand, which you need to do the other 2 things that I just mentioned. If you can't do anything, because let's say you failed to do anything with your resistance and you drove it down to 0, you have no cards left in your hand, or can't do anything, you can draw 1 card and pass. This will allow you at least to advance your infection or something else if you need to get your cards back up. And that's pretty much it. Okay. Game plays in about 30 minutes.
Then what triggers the game end?
Oh, yeah. The game end is triggered when you are down to 2 cities remaining. So each time a city is wiped out, or eradicated, we're going to flip the cards over, and then when we're down to 2 cities remaining, and here we have set up for a 5-player, then we trigger the end game. We'll finish the round that we're in, so these may end up getting closed out before the game is ended, and then we'll have a scoring. Now, something I didn't speak of that I should probably mention, with these event cards, some of them have skull and crossbones. Okay. The skull and crossbones appears, the first one you do nothing, but the second one you have a mid-game scoring round. And that is anybody who has the most of a disease in a city scores the lowest value on that card. So if I only had 1 in here and nobody else did, then I would get the score there. In the event of a tie, we always play with the person who plays there first on the highest line, the second player on the next highest line. In the event of a tie, the person who played in that city first wins the tie. Okay. So if this was like this and we had a mid-game scoring round, I would get the score of the 4 points for red, but Gray would get nothing. And he would go ahead and move up the score track. Okay. The other symbol that can appear on here is the new city. And this is the only time that we add a new city to the game. And when that appears, then that we have another city that we can yet play on.
Right.
So that keeps the game sort of changing during the halfway point or something.
Okay. And how many players does this play?
It will play up to 5.
Okay.
It will play 2 players. In that case, we have certain city cards that we're going to play with.
Oh, okay.
So we eliminate all cards that don't have this symbol on it.
I see.
And on the 2-player game, on the start of the round, we'll reveal a card. and we will play a neutral color, or that is one that's not in play, to the city of that color. In the event that there's 2 cards of that color, we always play it on the highest value 1. In the event that the color is not up, then we would keep turning cards until 1 appeared that is up on the board.
Okay.
And that way 2 players can play. You score the neutral player as you would a third person, so it's possible for the game to win.
Okay. Great. Okay, well, there you have it, folks. This is Pandemic Contagion from Z-Man Games. Check it out.